Okay? Hey, Jeffrey Sovereign with Community Talk. And we do this show from the Valley Access area in Stillwater here. And as you can see, we are really going to have a good, very interesting, fun show for you here. The Shakespeare Theater 40th anniversary shows. They have been doing this for 43 years. Doing plays by, I think, and many people agree with me, the greatest playwright ever, William Shakespeare, and some other plays they do. And this year's plays, if you want to switch over to the, we're going to switch to the poster, Ron, in the booth there. We're going to switch to the poster. We have a wonderful poster here. We're going to switch to on the other camera. We're going to switch over here. This year's plays is, as you can see, Comedy of Errors, Cleopatra, and with the blue area going off, The Importance of Being Earnest. Now that's a very unusual play. I've been doing this for about 20 years, actually, and this first time we have had a playwright that's a modern playwright in the late 1800s, early 1900s, so we're going to have a little different twist on here. We'll be discussing that play too, but Comedy of Errors, if you know Shakespeare, that's one of the big plays, sort of like Twelfth Night, Hamlet, Macbeth, one of his great plays, and Antony, Cleopatra. That'll be very interesting too. Let's go back to the wide shot here, Ron. Okay, we're waiting for that. And so, by the way, here's, we'll go to the wide shot, please. Okay. We're going to put the blue area here. We're going to see the website. So what you want to do is just write down this website, and that will give you all the information of what they'll be playing next week. We're going to play this next week, the last weekend of plays, the 28th, 29th, 30th, I believe. That's it. They'll be playing that weekend, and Friday, Saturday, Sunday, correct?
Yep.
What times of those days are they playing?
Friday and Saturday at 7, and Sundays at 6 p.m.
Sunday at 6. So our evening plays, they always arrange us to play where there's just enough light. And just in previous years, it's a very relaxed atmosphere. The southwest area of Century College, that's just about a mile north of the Century on 694 exit. And you just park there, you just keep walking in a nice green area. You're going to see a little stand there where they take your tickets, and then you see this wonderful stage that they have built many years ago. I think it was 2007, 2008. They remodeled it. And then you can bring your dinner there, you can bring your lunch, you can eat there. I've been there, and I've had certain times when I've been, the actors and actresses are right next to you, you know, ready to go on stage, you know, cueing you. I mean, they're within the audience. Sometimes you talk to them. I've done a little, did I get in trouble here? No, he didn't mind me a bit. But, you know, it's just so friendly atmosphere. And that's how Shakespeare did. Is this correct? That's how William Shakespeare did in late 1400s, early 1500s. And it was a Globe Theater, is that correct? The name of it. So they're reenacting exactly the way Shakespeare wanted to do plays. It's a very friendly atmosphere. And the three plays right now, Comedy of Errors, Antony, Cleopatra, and The Importance of Earnest, all these actors and actresses and the directors really do a great job here. So without further ado, I'm going to try to get all these people in the best I can, and Jared is going to do a little bit of acting at the end, right? We're going to do some acting for us. Well, we got to have some, right, we got to have some acting if we have a play, of course. From left to right, we'll start off with Tim. Tim, introduce yourself and your role.
Yeah, my name is Tim Perfect. This summer I'm playing Enobarbus in Antony and Cleopatra, and the Abbess in the Comedy of Errors.
And you're doing some directing too, correct?
I have in the past, yeah, not this season.
Okay, okay. Maybe some acting. Jared?
Yes, my name is Jared Reese. I'm in all three shows. In A Comedy of Errors, I play a merchant as well as Dr. Pinch. And in Antony and Cleopatra, I play Agrippa. And finally, in The Importance of Being Earnest, I am Jack Worthing.
Okay, move your microphone a little bit higher there. Yeah, a little bit up there, sure. A little right about here. We want to make sure.
Aaron's going to take
especially when he does the acting thing here. Okay. And I've known you. I've had her on for the last 2 weeks. She is a fun person. I remember
thank
her.
you.
Yes.
My name's Erin Granger, and this year I'm in Comedy of Errors. I am playing one of the sets of twins, Dromio of Syracuse.
Oh, okay. How many years have you been with Shakespeare?
This is my 7th.
7th year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
7th year, 16th or 17th show.
Yeah, she's been
Yeah.
good. I remember she was a fun interview. She was a fun person. So. And
Thanks.
to the right of me is Wait, I'm sorry. Hold it. No, I'm going to do it. No. Wait a minute. She grabbed it. Okay.
My name is Brianna Skoranek. I'm the production stage manager and the stage manager and the poster designer, and I run some of our social media, and that's it.
How long have you been with Shakespeare?
My whole life.
She loves
I was
it.
born out there
Yeah.
and did a lot of different jobs, but this is my 10th year stage managing.
Wow, and you knew Stu, right?
Yeah.
Ah, of course. Okay, why don't you, let's clip it on. Next time I'll hand it to you. I'm sorry. And,
Right there?
very
Okay.
cool. Cool.
I'm Laura Hoover. I am playing Gwendolyn in The Importance of Being Earnest and Cleopatra in Antony and Cleopatra.
Ah, big role, Cleopatra, huh?
Yes.
I gotta get into Cleopatra, see if it was. We're gonna compare it to the movie a little bit. You know that movie with Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor?
Yes.
See how, if there's any differences. But that was a successful movie, by
There's
the
a
way.
few
So
differences.
very interesting. And you?
Hello, I am.
You're good. Yep.
Oh, I'm good. I'm Hannah Halverson, and I am Adriana in Comedy of Errors, Cecily in The Importance of Being Earnest, and Iris, Nancy and Cleopatra.
Wow, you're very busy this summer, aren't you?
I
A
am.
lot of things, yeah. So why don't we start with you? So,
Fantastic.
in the Comedy of Errors, your role. Why don't you talk about the play in the first place so people understand it?
Okay, Comedy of Errors is a classic play of mistaken identities. There are two sets of twins that get mistaken for the other person. I am married to one of the twins, and I mistake him for the other twin. And I have some anger issues in the show. The cool thing about the show that we're doing this year is we're doing a circus twist on it. So there's knife throwing, and there's whips, there's some acrobatics, there's some balloon art.
Wow.
There's a bunch of things, a bunch of cool
Yeah.
theater magic things happening.
And is a comedy show. I mean,
It is a
yes,
comedy
yes.
show. Truly, it's a
And,
very
yeah.
silly show.
You'll be laughing your head off, probably. I mean, Shakespeare. He did another one called Twelfth Night, right? A good comedy thing. Yeah. So he's good at everything, and it's a very interesting show. So, what is your main your part exactly in the Comedy of Errors?
I'm the wife of one of the sets of twins named
The
Adriana.
wife. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And while you're here, your other plays. Describe your parts in those plays.
I am Iris in Antony and Cleopatra, so I'm one of Cleopatra's handmaidens. So I'm
Okay.
one of her ladies in waiting. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
And
what's a lady in waiting? Is
like
it
one of her
servant or something like that? No.
Attendants, maybe. Not really a
Attendant.
servant so much as
no,
Yeah. Okay.
she just has me around to do stuff.
Okay.
I sing for her and stuff.
And the other play, you're in the.
I am Cecily in The Importance of Being Earnest, and I play the romantic interest of Algernon Moncrief in it.
Okay.
And Earnest is also a case of mistaken identity, and it's a very silly farce. Like, we're
Okay.
taking a farcical turn in this.
Okay.
life.
And you?
So I'm Cleopatra in Antony and Cleopatra. It was really exciting to
She's
do
a
it.
star. Cleopatra is a star, right? Yes. Bigger
It's-
mind. Yes.
It was very
Yeah,
exciting
right.
for our director
Yeah.
to do it. He had not done this play in over 20 years. It was 24, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. So
I
he had
didn't know Shakespeare did Antony and Cleopatra. That's
Yes.
a new thing. Yeah.
It's
Cool.
it's a really nice blend of comedy and drama, and he did a very classic retelling of it. And then I'm also Gwendolyn in The Importance of Being Earnest, which we've done a very earnest, farcical turn with it. So yes, we've made it a little sillier.
Yeah. So since you're the main part, is it like the movie where you had the scene where Antony go to Cleopatra in Egypt and they met in the big crowd and everything? Is those scenes like that, or and it go through the scene where you had the fighting and all that?
Oh yeah, all we do
the
is
whole-
fight. It's
oh,
great.
yes.
All we do is fight.
Yeah.
And and there are scenes where a crowd is meant to be there, and what's nice is that we use
Right.
the audience in that terms,
Sure.
obviously, because we can't have the whole cast on stage. So we do incorporate the audience in a lot of the Egypt scenes to make it that big crowd.
Anthony and Cleopatra, they had a very interesting relationship, right?
They did, yes.
They sort of fought, but they loved each other and that kind of
Yes.
thing. And did it go through the end where he committed suicide or not?
Yes.
Oh, you
yeah.
did commit suicide.
Yeah.
Ah,
Oh, yeah, we
the
both
whole
do.
thing.
Spoiler alert.
Sure.
Yes.
Remember what I told you. If everybody dies in the end, it's a tragedy.
Yes.
If they get married in the end.
Yep, that's right. Yep. Is it, Did you watch a movie between Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor? Have you seen
I've
that?
seen it before. Yeah, I did not rewatch it
Is it
before taking this.
very much like it, or are there big differences here?
There's very large differences.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Yeah.
the heart of it is the same in that it is a
Right.
love story.
Right.
But definitely
Shakespeare,
not,
of course.
definitely not the
Yeah,
same.
Shakespeare, of course, writes it
Yes.
much differently, much more interesting.
Yes. Yeah, I would agree.
Very interesting. There must be a lot of, you must do a lot of different kind of costume designs, right, with Cleopatra? 'Cause
Yes,
she's
I
so
asked
beautiful.
our director to not do as many as he originally wanted. He
Well,
wanted
this is
me
an
to-
interesting inside
One
thing.
of
What
them-
really
one
One
happened.
of them is
Right
right
here,
here.
right
Yes,
here.
this is the final death crown. We've named him Eustace.
She was wearing that when she died, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
But yeah,
interesting.
he originally wanted her in a new dress every scene, and then we were like, let's make it realistic.
That's too much. Huh?
Yeah.
Do you know how many?
I have 5.
I wonder if how we died. Of course, we never know exactly what she was wearing when she died. You know.
Right.
I've seen something in MIA where she was naked. Other times she was wearing this, but in the scene she did die of a snake. Is that correct? That
They don't, I mean,
think
historically
so.
they don't know for sure, but
Yeah.
yes, that's the most retold version, I guess.
what was happening is the opposite person opposing Anthony was a guy called Octavian or Octavian, something like that. He actually, Octavius. He actually had Julius Caesar's in his will when he willed Octavius for all of his things to go to him, but Mark Antony was a friend, so he felt it should go to him, and you had a lot of people on each side of them, and Mark Antony was powerful. They had a big war, and it was a sea battle that Mark Antony lost, and then eventually they attacked Egypt, and there was Cleopatra sitting in Alexandria, and she figured, well, I'll kill myself, and they had a good time before that. But
Yeah.
that's basically what it was. But they're all the whole
Basically
works with
one
characters,
nonstop
right?
party
Correct?
slash
Yes.
fight.
Basically,
Pretty close,
is
yes.
Octavius in the play?
He is, yes.
So it's very interesting historical play. So now you're basically sort of a jack of all trades, I guess, on this, right? Or-
Yeah, yes. I do everything. But I am stage managing Antony and Cleopatra specifically this year. So on top of everything else,
So
I
you've
get
got to-
herd these lovely actors around.
There you go. You have to do a lot of changes and stuff like that, right? It's probably pretty busy. Change this and
Yeah.
change over with all scenes, dresses and costumes and all sorts of things like that.
Well, they do a lot of that backstage, but I'm running the sound during the performance. Luckily, we don't have any lighting because the sun does that for us. But then leading up to it, I help with like the props and helping come up with costume plots.
Moral
Five.
support
Moral support.
when we panic.
Is there any music in Antony and Cleopatra?
Yeah, we have some really beautiful Egyptian music that's
Oh.
playing throughout, and we
there.
have Hannah's lovely singing voice. Yeah. And she plays the tambourine.
Do you have an orchestra there to actually do it? Or with the-
No,
you have-
just a really nice old sound system
Yeah.
with the Discman.
Now, am I right, Tim, that every weekend you have all 3 of these plays, right? Let's put the
Now we
website.
are, yeah.
Yeah, okay, let's put the blue screen up on there because we want to always, pay attention to this. Put the blue area up on there and get the website on here, and this will be played next week. 43 years. I mean, this is like Lakeshore. Lakeshore's been around for over 50 years, and these 2 areas plays. If you've been around that long, you've got to do things that are good. You cannot survive that long. This is, by the way, Minnesota has the second highest theater seats per capita. That means New York is only first. So as far as popularity, as far as how many theater seats, Minnesota's second. This is a theater area, and they do great plays here, just like Lakeshore. If you're willing to Lakeshore, we have them on our play too. So check that out. They'll tell you exactly where it is, and they'll check you the ticket prices and everything. Believe me, you have a relaxed atmosphere, and you always got to believe the weather is going to hold up till the end of the show, right?
Yes.
Cross your
It'll
fingers.
hold up. It's an outdoor stage, but even a little bit of light rain, you still keep playing it. Yep. Not a thunderstorm, but it won't happen. Never has, never will, right?
No, we've had to call shows halfway through because the weather gets a little rough, but we'll still play in the rain.
Most of the time, I've always had good times there. All right, and back again. Hi.
Yeah, hi.
Hi. So why don't you talk about your?
Sure. So, I am doing Comedy of Errors this
naturally.
year. Yes. And as Hannah mentioned, there are two sets of twins in the show. It's you could think of it as kind of the original case of mistaken identity, kind of wacky, farcical comedy. So it centers around. I guess I'm getting picked up by all of the other microphones and my voice carries.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Jared lended me his mic.
Is she okay, Ron? She's okay, okay? I guess she is. Okay, yeah. Just hold up there.
All right. So, anyway, it centers around two sets of twins who live in two different cities. And one of the sets of twins has gone to the other set of twins' city to see if they can find them. But along the way, of course, lots of mistaken identities.
Like, is there jokesters or things like that?
So with our, I guess with our circus twist to it, two of the twins are, what would you call them? Like Justin and Taylor's characters. They wear these lovely capes back here, and they just,
they're kind of
just right here.
Get rid of them. Just cover
Bye,
it up
Jared.
there.
Bye, Jared. Right
wants
there.
like the flying Walendas.
Yeah, they're
trapeze.
Just so well she can get the acting part
Tumblers
later
and
on. Just
trapeze
block them
artists.
off. She gets the acting part later on. No, I'm kidding.
So two of the sets of twins, the Antipoli, the Antipholus twins, are kind of
like acrobats,
acrobats,
trapeze artists.
Yeah.
Like the flying Walendas.
And they each have a servant, or kind of, like a serving person who's another set of twins. So that's my character, the Dromios. And the Dromios, in our interpretation, are kind of the characters who get shot out of the cannon. So we've got these great aviator hats.
Shakespeare did that. I mean, this guy is modern, He was doing stuff that nobody did then, and, this is how advanced this guy was. Great writing.
So that's not original. That is our
cap,
twist on it. But anyway, so it's the very, very classic. You see it all the time now in movies and in other plays that have adopted this same trope. But where one character exits and another character comes on and mistakes that person for the person they were just talking to, and that just happens throughout the entire show.
So the mistaken thing that creates a lot of comedy situations.
Yes. So one character will say, "Go away and do this for me," and they will, and they'll come back and they'll tell the other character, like, "I did the thing for you," and they'd be like, "I never asked you to do that. What are you talking about? Go take this money here," and you do that, and you come back, and you're like, "I did what you asked me to. I never said that." So it just keeps going around like that over and over again. Plus, there's a lot of other characters in the show. There's merchants, and there's the wives of the Antipholus characters, who all do have their wacky antics throughout the show.
And they're sort of finding women too. Okay, fine.
Yes, so it is definitely a very character heavy, just wacky,
different,
zany
interesting
show.
shows. Is there any slapstick comedy kind of thing in it?
Ooh, there's not slapstick, but what there is a lot of, I'm going to call it water play, where we've got giant buckets of water on stage, and we also steal water bottles from audience members.
Any water fights? People love water.
There are lots of water fights in this show.
There you
a lot
go.
of them.
So come on. Some of the audience gets wet, right? Come on,
occasionally.
A little occasionally.
There's a couple that happen directly in the audience, where if the audience is not careful, they will get sprayed with water from one of these water cannons.
Of course, they don't mind it. What the heck?
Yep. So so it's no slapstick per se, but there is a lot of just goofy bits, a lot of physical comedy, so trips and falls and tumbles and things like that.
It's kind of slapstick.
It's interesting. How would you rehearse? I mean, you probably rehearse differently for a comedy show and other shows because you got to somehow hit the jokes right, something like that. I mean, is it a harder rehearsal, your experience, or is it just a different way of rehearsing?
So there's definitely a difference between how Shakespeare and Company and most theaters approach comedy versus drama. So with comedy, a lot of your job is assembling the right team, right? Like finding the right people to just take the script and run with it. So our rehearsal process for Comedy of Errors was just trying a bunch of things we thought were funny, And it was a very long experimental process of just like trying different bits over and over and over again and taking the ones that.
I mean, you are doing what Shakespeare. How many? 10 minutes. But you are doing what Shakespeare wrote.
Yes, same words and everything,
It's just the
but
method you do it of how to approach it and everything like that. Yeah.
yeah, to make sure the joke deliveries land right and things like that. Whereas with a drama, you oftentimes have to think more deeply about the text that you're working on and what the intention behind that is, develop your character relationships a lot deeper, things like that.
More serious drama,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yep. You take the scenes a bit more seriously. With comedy shows, especially the Comedy of Errors, we just played for a month of rehearsal, and what you see on stage is the result of us just having a fun time as a cast. And
So really nothing heavy going on in this Comedy of Errors. I mean, not a really heavy script like, this person, a real heavy fight between people, relationship. It's just sort of a...
our version is very,
light.
very light. I
Yeah,
mean, it's
that's fine.
outdoor picnic theater, so
Yeah.
we want to keep it as light as
Yeah,
possible.
that's what wrote Comedy of Errors. That's exactly what it was. Cool. One of the most famous plays. It's been like it's agreed. It's one of the most famous plays that Shakespeare
It was
has.
his first attempt at writing something other than a history. It was his first foray into comedy. Comedy of Errors was.
Cool.
Yeah.
Fun play.
Hand it over to Jared.
Jared, you're up next.
What do you want to know?
What plays are you in?
I'm
And
in all three plays.
Yeah.
The big one is the importance of being earnest, which is being done for the first time out at Shakespeare and Company ever. So
modern play.
it's more modern than Shakespeare.
That's for sure. Late 1800s. Now, do you know much about Oscar Wilde? Can you tell us about or maybe Tim can tell us more about Oscar Wilde.
Maybe he could, but I would just say that this is more of a comedy of manners. I mean, there's satire. There are all the way back to the Greek dramas, and I shouldn't say dramas because satire is usually it's very, very funny and all that. So this is kind of in the spirit of that, but it makes fun of the aristocracy of the like Victorian England, and kind of makes fun of well-to-do people that don't really know what to do with themselves a lot, what they think is proper, and trying to.
The English royalty, you take it, right?
Just anybody that has money.
Yeah.
They make unnecessary trips and say unnecessary things and get themselves into trouble. At least in the plays, they do. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a serious script like a love relationship or a good guy or just sort of a fun kind?
These I play one of the gentlemen that actually I play. He has invented a younger brother of the name of Earnest, so he can either go to different places assuming that identity, or maybe even get out of things that he doesn't want to do.
Okay.
But in the attempt of trying to be proper and all that. But his friend Algernon has also done the same thing with his own alter ego, a man by the name of Mr. Bunbury, who's always sick, and he always has to go visit him. Sorry, I can't stay for tea. I have to go. So they discover this independently of each other, and so you have an alternate identity as well, and that's where the trouble starts.
And then you see how, wow, what are you rich people doing? You're sort of
pretty
off
much
the bands here, that kind of thing. And
Pretty much,
it's not what's cracked up to be, in other words.
Right, going the city house to the country house, and getting in trouble there as well.
Are there actually cars at that time, or is it that period?
No, at least
a little bit late 1800s kind of thing. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Now, do you have to talk English, like in English?
Oh yes, we go the full English accent.
Well,
you try to anyway. In my case.
You did an acting part. Why don't you talk English right now in your acting part? You said you could do.
Oh yeah, I was going to do a mini monologue from Act 3 where I'm basically rebuking.
4 or 5 minutes. Okay, here we go.
Okay, I'll make this quick.
Set it up now. This is again from the play.
So I'm pretty much yelling at Algernon for assuming the identity and ruining everything at the country house and all that. So I'm just basically talking like a lawyer to the whole group and saying.
And here is Gerald.
Jared, yes.
And the character you're playing
is Jack Worthing.
Here we go.
This afternoon, during my temporary absence in London on an important question of romance, he gained admission to my house under the false pretense of being my brother. He drank, I've just been informed by my butler, an entire pint bottle of my Perrier Jouet, Brut 89, wine I was specially reserving for myself. Continuing his disgraceful deception, he succeeded in the course of the afternoon of alienating the affections of my only ward. He subsequently stayed to tea and devoured every single muffin. And what makes matters all the more heartless is that he was perfectly well aware from the first that I have no brother. I never had a brother, and that I do not intend to have a brother, not even of any kind. I distinctly told him so myself yesterday afternoon.
Ah, very good. Very formal.
Thanks, everybody.
English card, yes.
Thanks
Weird
a
to be
lot.
sitting down.
It is.
Sorry for
Why do
this.
you like the part? You must like this part, Joe. What is it that interests you about this?
It scares me. It was terrifying to get the role because it was a lot of lines, and I haven't been on stage in like 9 years, so it was very daunting. But I think I do okay. At least I get away with playing an English ingenue guy. So
Your part, do you think it tells you something about the interesting? Is your part? Does it tell you about something about the English aristocracy? Or, I mean, is that what's intended, or is it just
a very skewed version of it?
Yeah.
I think there were proprieties. People did go. I mean, during the course of the play, I mentioned going to see plays and going to dinner and going to the bar and trotting around town. So I would assume that.
Robert Redford at that period, a little bit later on, he did a movie called The Great Gatsby.
Yes.
And that's talking about the same thing about the American aristocracy in the 1920s, you know, sort of a take on that sort of thing. Well, last but not least, of course, is Tim. Tell us your roles in your two plays and what...
Got your mic, Tim?
Yeah. Well, I'm in Antony and Cleopatra.
What's your mic? Okay.
Yep. Antony and Cleopatra, I'm playing Enobarbus. Enobarbus is kind of Antony's right-hand man. He's kind of one of the few people that can speak honestly with Antony and just, be honest when he's kind of messing up or when he just needs to snap out of it. He's not, once it gets more into the show, he's not as big of a fan of the effect that Cleopatra has on Antony.
Okay.
When it comes to the war and everything like that. But it's a great role, and I get to die, so. Under mysterious circumstances. The other role I'm playing is the Abbess in Comedy of Errors, and I definitely don't want to ruin that surprise.
That is a big surprise.
It's kind of at the
Why is it a big surprise that Tim plays it?
Showstopper character.
It's a
Oh,
showstopper.
okay.
it is.
Yeah.
Kind of at the end of the play when all this stuff is happening and everybody's like, what's going on? When all the twins come back together. And there's usually this Deus ex machina, which is this, the God from the heavens back in the Greek day would come down and explain everything.
Yeah.
And so my role is kind of like, I kind of tie everything together, and we realize, it's.
Do you do jokes at all, or you're sort of organized? Are you involved in jokes too?
In jokes, yes.
Oh,
there's
okay,
plenty of jokes.
There's lots of jokes,
Lots of
especially with
jokes.
this character.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fun. And you're dressed. 2 minutes ago, they're all dressed up these old Shakespeare clothes, right? They have these Shakespeare costumes as they were in the late 1500s.
Sometimes.
Who does the costume designer? Quickly, this person get recognition for this. Does this costume?
Yeah, we have 3 costumers, so one for each show. Bobby Iverson Wrestler, Bree's mom, costumed Antony and Cleopatra.
Okay.
A. Emily Heaney, costumed at the Comedy of Errors. Okay. And Katie Kreitzer.
Yeah.
Costumed The Importance of Being Earnest.
Let's try to get this all in. Why put the blue screen up, Ron? The blue screen up, so people write down that website.
Yeah.
Why do you like Comedy of Errors? I mean, what's?
Oh, it's a typical. When you think of sitcoms, stuff that's going to make the audience laugh, broad comedy and mistaken identity. That's kind of stuff you still see on TV today.
Gerald, why do you like the play with Earnest?
Oh, it's actually it's crazy fun, more crazy fun than I thought it would be ever.
It's fun to make fun of the aristocracy, right?
Oh yes, I love to poke fun at the aristocracy.
And we can't get everybody in, but since Cleopatra, you're the head person. Why do you like Antony Cleopatra?
It is Kardashian level melodrama. It is ridiculous emotion and
hard
death
acting,
and,
right? Hard acting.
death and love and all that good stuff.
Okay. All right. Hey, check the website. Great plays. Comedy of Errors, Antony Cleopatra, and again, what's the name of it?
The Importance of Being Earnest.
Oscar Wilde's play. Thank you very much for watching. Thanks a lot. Hey, thanks for watching. And check it out. Great
Finger
plays
guns.
next weekend. All right. Thanks. Hey, there's the pheasant there. Yeah.